let's make an EVO loop with 2 colors. Which color is your favorite? So to make this, it's just like the regular EVO loop, but we need 2 strands, each one 16 inches long, 7/64 amstel, and then 5.5 inches right here is controlled by a little piece of tape. So these 2 strands, each at 5.5 inch, will be the button knot. So let's tie the button knot. Now you might not need a 2-color EVO loop, but having the 2 colors when you tie a button knot could be helpful for everybody that's struggling with tying the button knot. So you just take one strand and loop it around the other. So I've looped the gray around the orange. Now I'm going to loop the orange around the gray. So just basically, you want to loop around me, I'm going to loop around you. So I'm going to start looping around the orange. But I'm creating 2 loops, the orange loop and the gray loop, and I'm going to make those go together too. So I'm just going to pull this strand through that loop that was created by the gray. So let me just pause. As you see what I did, loop the orange, right? So come back and do the same thing. I'm going to loop the gray. And then those 2 loops are going to get connected together like that. So as I looped that gray with the orange, the piece that came out, I also went around the gray piece. And now I can start to go like this, like it's a little piece of gum with my fingers. And now you can see by the colors, it's kind of easier to tell. And like I showed you before, you can also flatten it out. And if you flatten it out, you can hold it up in front of you and see what it looks like and make sure you've done it right. So now we can use our splicing tool. And for the next part of this knot, we're going to take each strand and go around and come through right there. So I can use the splicing tool. I'm going to go in through this gray piece right here, and then I'll capture the orange piece. So the orange piece will come around, and I want it to go through where the splicing tool is. So if I just put the splicing tool in first, grab that orange piece, then I can pull the orange piece through. Now I have another video for this button knot using large rope. I'll put that in the description. And so now I need to do the same thing over here, go through, and I can pull that gray strand around. Like that. So as you practice this, just doing it by yourself and having the 2 separate colors might help. But we're just tying the button knot. And now these 2 strands that we have, they need to go down between these 2 strands. So there's these 2 strands on top that would normally be one color. But now you can really see where you need to open it up right there and then pull those strands out the bottom. And for 7/64 amstel, we use the number 5 yarning needle, and it'll open those 2 strands up and create a path for our other strands. So we're going to let that come out of the bottom, push it back through a little bit to open it up. It is kind of nice to have the 2 colors, especially at this step, because you can see exactly where we need to open these. I'm just opening the knot up right there to create a path for the splicing tool. A link in the description for what wire I use for this tool will be provided. So see, I'm just grabbing one strand and pulling it through. And then I'm going to go back and open that up again so the other strand can come through. Just using the needle to create a path for it, just creating a little looseness inside of the knot. So now I can go through from the bottom, come up between those strands and grab that orange piece and pull it through. Yeah, so yeah, looks good. So now to finish this, I'm going to grab the knot with the grasping tool and pull the strands, which will expose the tape for one thing, and it'll tighten the knot up. A bent nose pliers like this works really good because you can take it and turn it like this, and it gives you a lot of grip, so you can pull the knot tight without it slipping on the amstel. Okay, so now we can get our tape off of there. And now to finish the knot, just like with the other EVO loop, we're just going to bury these two strands. Just like with the other berries, go down about an inch beyond where the strand ends and enter the line and grab a strand. So since we got two colors, now we can bury the opposite strands in each other. That's kind of cool. It'll create a nice little contrast once we finish it. So just get that strand in there. And then the same thing with the other one. Just get that strand buried into the piece. The tape on my finger is from a hydraulic lift accident on the back of a dump truck. The reason my finger is taped is just to prevent it from getting injured. It can get injured very easily. Okay, so now to finish the two-colored EVO loop, we're just going to go down to our two strands and grab 2.5 inches of one strand, enter it like that, 2.5. I know that's not a very deep berry, but it's more than enough for this. So 2.5 right there, and then grab the other strand that has been pulled through and enter that one and create a lock brummel. So I'm going through the orange, grabbing the gray, and we have a lock brummel at the end of this, and then we're going to fold the strands back into themselves. Just like the previous berries. Yes, I did thin the ends right here. I know it looks messy once you start splicing it. If you thin the ends, it looks all crazy, but once it gets buried inside of here, it'll be fine. You can use your needle, your little yarning needle, if you want to get it seated in there perfectly like that. But it will seat itself in there perfectly once you use it a couple times too. So just finish this two-color EVO loop by burying this last free strand. And if it kind of like doesn't want to go in the berry, like it's popped out like that, just use your pliers and then give it a little pull, and it'll really get seated in there. Okay. Oh, look at that. I just lied to you. That piece didn't get all the way seated in there. I probably entered the braid at the wrong point. There we go. Fixed it. Okay, so now we have a two-color EVO loop in orange and gray. One thing that might be disadvantageous, it doesn't work as good as a soft shackle because this part is so thick. You might notice, oh, it didn't come out perfectly even. So you can grab it with the jaws or the handle of your pliers. This is how I make them all the time, but you can pull. Just give a pull or just use the weight of the pliers to even everything up. So that's how I use a pliers or grasping tool to hold the EVO loop. Hold it like that and then pull it hard and it will seat in there. So if you're wanting to use it as a soft shackle, it doesn't hook onto the knot as well. So the soft link method, where you go through and then over, is the best way to use a 2-color EVO loop as a soft shackle. As you can see, it'll work really good. And if you want to get super slick, you can adjust your two 16-inch pieces and you can make it look like this. So this piece here is like a 17, I believe, and this piece I think is 14. And so that put the lock Brummel right here. You just have to be careful because you have to leave enough room for your two berries right here. But you can make an EVO loop that has a color like this, and then that will give you a little bit more leeway to use it as a soft shackle, because a thinner piece right here will wrap around the knot better. So it's kind of like a quick release soft shackle. So there you go. That's a 2-color EVO loop and how to make one. Thanks.